Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling one of the most desired, but honestly, one of the most misunderstood fitness goals out there, the six-pack. We're going to uncover the science and the strategy that actually gets results. So, if you've ever spent what feels like an eternity on the floor, doing crunch after crunch, just wondering why you're not seeing the results you want, yeah, you are definitely not alone. And it's probably because you've been focusing on the wrong part of the equation entirely. Most of us think that endless ab exercises are the magic bullet, but the sources we've analyzed show that's a pretty flawed strategy. The real path to a defined core is actually built on two main pillars. First, nutrition to reveal the muscle, and second, smart training to build a truly strong core system. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by busting the central six-pack myth wide open. Then we'll dive deep into those two crucial pillars, revealing your abs with what you eat, and then building your core with the right kind of training. After that, we got to get real about the genetic lottery, and finally, we'll map out a realistic timeline for you.
First things first, we really need to completely reframe how we think about getting a six-pack. It's not just about the muscle, not by a long shot.
So, here it is. The crucial two-part equation. You could have the most incredibly strong, well-developed abs in the world, but if they are hidden under a layer of body fat, that's the fat just under your skin, you will simply never ever see them. This is the absolute non-negotiable first principle.
And that brings us perfectly to the most critical part of this whole journey, Pillar 1, revealing the muscle you already have through smart nutrition. You've probably heard it before, and it's true. Abs are made in the kitchen.
To lower your body fat percentage, there are no shortcuts, no magic pills. The only way is to be in what's called a calorie deficit. It's simple, really. It's the scientific foundation of fat loss. You must consume less energy than your body is using. Now, for results that actually last, our sources recommend a pretty moderate deficit. A great target is right around 500 calories a day. This is kind of the sweet spot, because it encourages your body to burn fat for fuel without causing it to panic and start breaking down your precious muscle tissue. But it's not just about the number of calories. It's about the type of calories. As you can see on the slide, an effective macro split for fat loss really prioritizes protein. That helps keep you full and preserve muscle, and healthy fats for hormone function, while you strategically lower the carbohydrates. Okay, let's move to our second pillar. Once you're getting a handle on nutrition, it's time to train those muscles underneath. But we need to do it intelligently, for a strong, functional body, not just for show. This is a huge mistake people make, confusing six-pack training with core training. They are not the same thing. Doing endless crunches primarily targets just one muscle, the rectus abdominis. You know, the one that looks like a six-pack. But that is not your entire core. A truly strong core is an entire system of muscles all working together. It includes your obliques for twisting, your deep back muscles for stability, and even your diaphragm. Think of it like a natural corset that creates this powerful, stable center for every single movement you make, whether you're lifting groceries or hitting a personal best in the gym. So a really functional core does two things well. First, it creates controlled movement, like you'd see in a Russian twist. But just as important is what the Germans call Anti-Bewegung, or resisting unwanted motion. Think about it. When you carry a heavy suitcase in one hand, your core is firing like crazy to keep you from bending sideways. That is anti-movement, and it's absolutely essential for protecting your spine and generating real-world power. So, we know we need low body fat and a strong, well-trained core system. But there's one more factor at play here. One that no amount of training or dieting can ever change.
This is a really important question because it helps us set realistic expectations. Can absolutely anyone achieve a perfectly symmetrical cover model six-pack? The answer from our sources is a pretty clear no. And the reason lies in your anatomy. As our source material explains so well, those lines that create the packs are just connective tissue. Their number, their symmetry, that's all determined by your genetics before you ever step foot in a gym. You can't train your way from a four-pack to a six-pack. You can only develop the unique structure you were born with. With all of that in mind, the nutrition, the training, and the genetics, let's finally talk about the big question. How long does it actually take to see your abs? Your timeline depends almost entirely on one single thing, your starting body fat percentage. Our sources indicate that for most men, abs start to become clearly visible right around 12% body fat or lower. For women, that threshold is a little higher, typically around 20% or lower.
This chart gives you a rough estimate. So, for example, a man starting at 25% body fat could potentially reach that 12% visibility threshold in about 30 weeks, assuming he's consistent and losing about a pound or half a kilogram per week. Now remember, these are just estimates, but they give you a realistic framework. And it's so important to be patient. You can reduce body fat relatively quickly, in a matter of months. But building the kind of dense, developed abdominal muscle that really pops, that can take years of consistent, progressive training. So please don't rush the process. This all leads to a final and maybe a more profound question. A visible six-pack can be a great goal, for sure. But the true reward of this whole journey is building a powerful, resilient core that supports you for a lifetime. So you have to ask yourself, are you training for the mirror or are you training for a lifetime of strength? The choice is yours.